AGT Topo can automatically draw bearings and distances on the lines that you draw. By default, the bearing is placed above the line and the distance below. And this happens automatically as you draw each line. Now you can turn this feature on or off by clicking the Bear Dist button up here on the toolbar. And now it just draws the line without the annotations. However, the annotations are actually still there. They're actually a part of the line object itself, and in the case of these lines, they're just turned off. If I click the Edit button and then click on the line, you can see the Show Annotations setting down here is turned off. And if I turn it back on, now the annotations are turned back on. Suppose you need to change several annotations. Using this method would get very tedious. Instead, click the Toggle Annotations button right up here on this toolbar. And now when you click on a line, it toggles the annotation on or off. To change the annotations for several lines, just drag a window around them. If you need to change the bearing direction, click the Flip Direction button. And there you can flip the bearing direction. So like I said, these annotations are directly attached to the line itself and they're automatically calculated. So if you change the length or direction of the line, for instance, if I use the move endpoint, the bearing and distance are automatically updated. You can also move the annotations. Suppose I want the bearing and the distance to be both on the same side of this right-of-way line. I'll select the line and then click the Edit button. And here on the Annotations tab, we have an assortment of options for annotation placement. By default, the annotations are placed above and below the line as you've just seen, but if I uncheck the Automatic Placement option, I can then use these other settings here. Notice that these placement options are based on either the right or left side of the line. And this is always in relation to the direction of the line. So in our case, I want them to be above the line. The direction of this line is southeast, which means that looking down the line from its starting point, I would want the annotations to be on the left side. So the bearing is already on the left side, so all I need to do is move the distance to that side as well. And now when I save the changes, the annotations have been updated. So let's take another look here. You can mix and match any of these combinations as needed. And if you only want to show the bearing or the distance, you can use the Hide option to hide the one that you don't want to see. If the Custom option is selected, it means that the annotation has actually been dragged to a new location. Now you can't do that from this dialog, but the setting is listed here to let you know that that is what has occurred. So let's close this dialog and do a custom annotation location. To do a custom annotation, you must right-click the drawing to bring up the pop-up menu and then pick Move Line Label. So here we have a tree that's interfering with our annotation, and I want to move it over a little bit. So again, I'll right-click the drawing, and then from the pop-up menu, I'll click Move Line Label. And now I need to click on the annotation I want to move, and then drag it to its new location. The next step is a direction. And as you can see, I can set the direction simply by clicking with the mouse, or if I just hit enter, it'll take the default direction down there, which was the original direction. There's one more thing to show you about annotations, and that's what happens when they don't fit on a line. So here you can see approximately how long a bearing annotation is. Now I'm going to draw another line right here. I'm going to turn bearing and distance on, and I'm going to draw it fairly short. In fact, this line is so short that the annotation text is too long for it. When this happens, the program automatically switches the annotation to a line label. And if we go to Tables and then Lines, you can see that the bearing and distance have been automatically placed in a line table. Now, line and curve tables are covered in a separate video, so I'm not going to say any more about them here. The point I wanted to make was how annotations are automatically checked to see if they fit on the line and are placed in the table if not. And this only applies if the annotation is set for automatic placement. It does not apply to any custom changes that you've made.